this is a quick video on the parts for the flip lock used on the Carriage and on the Carriage adapters. And so the parts are, there are two plastic shims that keep the telescopic tubes contained, captive inside the larger one. There is a plastic stub. There is the flip lever. There's a pin that connects the lever to the overall flip lock. So I'm going to disassemble the flip lock on this Carriage adapter and then assemble it back as a way of demonstrating how to replace parts. Okay, so I'm going to start with pushing out the retention pin. Now, one thing to note about this pin is it's a plastic pin, but it has a knurled top. So the top is, rough, and one part, other side is smooth. And so this is important because you can't push it from the rough end, you can only push it from the smooth end. All right, so I'm going to start with a clear indicator for which end to push from. So I'm going to start by pushing the pin, and the thing to note is that on one side the pin will already have a little depression, and that's the side that you want to be pushing it out from. And yeah, once you have it, it should be pretty simple to push out. Make sure that the lock is unlock position, and then you just point it like, push it like that, and the pin should just come out. And once the pin comes out, this lever should come out. And once the lever comes out, everything else should follow. So, oh yeah, so there is that plastic stub. And so you can just tap it out and the plastic stub falls out. And now everything should just come off. Okay, so as I said, there are two plastic shims, and then there's that overall container. So this is what it should look like. And just to do a complete disassembly, so this is the smaller shim that goes on the tip of here. Then there's a larger shim that keeps the telescopic tube inside. And then this is the overall container for the flip lock, right? So these are the parts, the pin, the lever, the two shims, a plastic stub, and then the overall container. Okay, so now I'm just going to reassemble the tube, and it's just reversing the process. So let's start with the overall container. Now the point to note is one side is large, one side is small, and we want to push the smaller tube in the smaller side. So that goes in first. Then we will put this shim in. And the point to note here is that the shim has an open end. This is where the locking plastic stub goes. So we want to remember that and line it up with this cavity in the container. Once that is in, we are going to put the small locking stub in, and it just locks in here. Nice. And this is what keeps the smaller tube inside the larger tube. Okay, so I'm just going to push this all in and get to this point. So now I can see this cavity, and in that cavity I'm going to drop this locking stub, and this will go in. So it's like a cam structure, and it will go in the side that is fitting for this slot that's there. And so it'll go in like this, right? And don't put it in this order, it won't lock. So it's going to go in like this, and I'm just going to drop it in there, make sure it gets in all the way in. And yeah, you may have to wiggle it a bit. Right, so it's in. Now I just put in my lever, and once the lever is in, I have to push in the pin, and the pin will go in. So I pushed it out from that end, so I'm just keeping it all the same. I'm just going to push it in from this end, and as I said, the rough end, the null side, you would probably want to take something flat, like and just push it in. Once it's pushed in, that's it. Now the lock is complete. The tube will stay in, extend to a certain length, and stay in. Once you lock it, the tube stays. All right, so yeah, so these replacement parts will be sent.